The back stitch is one of my favorites. It creates neat outlines and can be used for fillings too. It is one of the basic stitches that I recommend to every beginner. Let me show you how to work the back stitch on this flower pattern with circles, curves, fillings and corners. I'm using 6 strands of the anchor embroidery floss. Let us do the stab method first. Come out from one end of the pattern or stitch line. In this case, it will be the corner point of the frame. Go in through the fabric to make a single straight stitch. Now, come back again on the stitch line. The length of the first stitch and the gap will be more or less the same. Take the needle backward and go in through the earlier stitch point, and that's your second stitch. From now on, the process remains the same. The stab method is great when working on a thick fabric or different layers of fabric. In this method, you will be pulling out the needle completely after passing it through the fabric each time. Now let's try the sew method on the remaining part of the stitch line. You would come out on the stitch line and go backward in through the previous stitch point. Do not pull out the needle yet. Instead, lead it forward and bring it back up again on the stitch line. Pull out your needle. Doing this creates a stitch and a gap at the same time. You can save time and effort using this method, as you are not taking your hand under the hoop to pull out the needle every time. The back stitch is most beautiful when the stitches are kept small. In general, the length of the stitch depends highly on the size of your pattern. The smaller the pattern, the smaller the stitch should be. Now that we have reached the corner of the frame, let's see how to deal with it. You must pass the needle through the corner point to create a sharp angle. One way is to go across the corner at the back of the fabric to turn and continue with the back stitch. You can also try a different approach, and this is an ideal method if you are using the back stitch for sewing purposes. Once you finish the line, do not go across the corner. Instead, turn and start the line as a new back stitch row. They will share a common stitch point though. This method keeps the corner area neat at the back of the fabric by avoiding the thread to run across the corner. Now, both these methods work with any kind of corners or tapering ends like the tips of the leaves. Now let me show you how to do a circle. Since a circle has no definite start or end, you can begin from just about anywhere on the stitch line. The challenge here is to join the first and the last stitches to make the circle appear seamless, which I will be showing. This will work not only on circles but any such closed pattern that does not have any corners or start or end points like an oval. As you approach the end, gauge the number of stitches you can fit and adjust their lengths if necessary. Then, to cover the last gap, come out from the first stitch point and go backward to make the final back stitch. And there you have a seamless circle. Now let's move on to the petals and see how well the backstitch can take curves. I would come out from one end of the petal and use the stab method to work my way on the outline. As I reach the curvy part, I would make the stitches slightly smaller to accommodate the curve smoothly. Like in most linear stitches, the rule of thumb is the sharper the curve, the smaller the stitch. Try to pass the needle where the different parts of the pattern meets, like these two petals. This creates common stitch points which makes the turns look sharper. So that's our flower so far. At this point, I would like to show you how the reverse looks. To end, pass the needle under the nearest stitch. Then pass it under the stitch again and loop the thread around the needle. Pull out the needle to create a knot and secure your stitch. Now let's work on filling the tips of each petal. You would see that the area to be filled has tapering ends. So come out from the existing stitch point to keep the tips sharp. It's like working on acute corners. Stitching the outline of the area to be filled first is the best way to do any filling. Once the area to be filled is marked, use adjacent rows of backstitch to fill it in. I stitch from the outer side inwards. Backstitch is popular in lettering in embroidery as it creates great outlines and such fillings come out beautifully where the letters get thick. I work this way on all the petals. We have our finished pattern. I hope you enjoyed learning the backstitch. If you have, then give us a like and share it with the others. Subscribe to our channel for more such videos to learn everything you need to know about a stitch in just 10 minutes. You are now ready to use the backstitch on any pattern. If you want to practice this particular pattern, it is available on our website and the link is in the description. Make something beautiful today.